Everyone says it, drink more water. It's advice you've probably heard your whole life, from your doctor at checkups, from health articles in magazines, from family who want you to stay healthy, and of course, they're right. Water is essential. Without it, our bodies can't survive. But here's the part nobody tells you. After age 65, hydration becomes a whole new game. The rules change. And if you're still drinking water the way you did when you were younger, you might actually be doing it wrong. In fact, the way you drink could be leaving you weaker, foggier, and even at risk of dangerous falls. Let's imagine a common situation. It's a sunny afternoon, and you've been outside in the garden pulling weeds, or maybe walking the dog. You feel hot, a little tired, but not exactly thirsty. You come inside, pour yourself a tall glass of water, and drink it all down in one go. It feels refreshing in the moment, but then, out of nowhere, you feel lightheaded. The room tilts for just a second. You reach for the counter to steady yourself. You think, what's going on? I just drank water. Shouldn't I feel better? That exact scenario plays out every day for older adults. And it's not just about thirst. It's about how your body handles water differently as you age. The signals are weaker, the processing is slower, and the balance is trickier. What worked for you in your 30s or 40s doesn't always work the same way after 65. And here's something even more surprising. Dehydration, and yes, sometimes even overhydration, are among the most overlooked reasons older adults end up in the hospital. We often think of dehydration as just feeling parched, but in seniors it shows up as confusion, fatigue, dizziness, or sudden weakness. Doctors see it all the time. Families panic, thinking it's something major, when often it's as simple as not drinking water the right way. So today we're going to uncover the biggest hydration mistakes people make after 65. Mistakes that quietly drain your energy, upset your balance, and put your health at risk. More importantly, I'll show you the smarter way to hydrate, so you can feel clearer, steadier, and stronger every single day. And I'll give you a reason to stay until the end. The last mistake we'll cover is the one almost every older adult makes daily, without even realizing it. It's a habit that feels harmless, but it works directly against your body. So, are you drinking water the right way or the wrong way? Let's find out. Here's something most people don't realize. Staying hydrated at 65 is not the same as staying hydrated at 25. The rules of the game change with age, and that's exactly why so many older adults run into problems. Let's start with the body itself. When you're young, your body is like a full reservoir. About 60% of your body weight is water. That gives you a wide safety margin. But as the years go by, that reservoir shrinks. By the time you reach your 60s or 70s, you might only be about 50% water. That may not sound like much, but it means your body has less reserve. So when you lose even a little fluid, through sweating, through breathing, even just through normal bathroom trips, the impact is much bigger. Where a younger person might only feel a little thirsty, an older adult might feel dizzy, weak, or foggy after the same small loss. Next, let's talk about the kidneys. These two bean-shaped organs don't get enough credit. They're working all day, filtering waste, balancing your water and salts, and making sure everything stays in range. But with age, kidneys become less efficient. They don't conserve water as well, and they're slower at adjusting sodium and potassium levels. That means two things. Dehydration can happen faster, and overhydration, yes, drinking too much water, can also become a risk. The balance is harder to keep, and the margin for error is smaller. And then there's the thirst signal. This one surprises a lot of people. Your brain simply doesn't send the "I'm thirsty" alarm as strongly as it used to. A major study at Penn State found that older adults often didn't drink even when their bodies were already dehydrated because they didn't feel thirsty. Imagine your car's fuel gauge breaking. It says the tank is fine, but in reality you're running on empty. That's what happens with the thirst signal as we age. This is why dehydration in seniors doesn't always look like a dry mouth or a strong craving for water. It often shows up in disguise: sudden fatigue, confusion, headaches, low blood pressure, or even a fall. That's why doctors sometimes mistake dehydration for dementia or infection. The symptoms overlap, and the root cause, lack of fluids, goes unnoticed until it becomes serious. And here's the hidden danger. Dehydration is one of the leading reasons older adults end up in hospitals. It's not just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. It stresses your heart, strains your kidneys, and makes falls more likely. And when falls happen, recovery is often long and difficult. So let's pause and think about this. You lose more water faster, your kidneys can't balance as easily, and your brain doesn't warn you in time. That's the triple challenge of hydration after 65, which is exactly why the old advice of just drink 8 glasses a day doesn't cut it anymore. That advice is too simple, too general, and in some cases, even risky. Hydration after 65 isn't about drinking more. It's about drinking smarter, and that's why understanding the mistakes and the fixes is so important. So let's break down the first big mistake. Now let's dive into the first mistake, chugging large amounts of water all at once. It's something almost everyone has done. You go about your morning, maybe you had coffee with breakfast, maybe you were busy with chores, maybe you just forgot to drink. Then suddenly, hours later, you realize, I haven't had a single glass of water today. You grab a tall glass or a big bottle, and in just a few gulps, it's gone. You think, there, I've made up for it. But here's the problem, your body doesn't work like that, especially after 65. When you dump a large amount of water into your system at once, your kidneys can't process it fast enough. Remember, they're slower now. Instead of absorbing smoothly, that flood of water dilutes the sodium in your blood. Why does sodium matter? Because it's one of the key electrolytes your body uses to keep balance. Sodium helps your nerves send signals, your muscles contract, and your blood pressure stay stable. When it drops too low, your body doesn't function properly. Doctors call this hyponatremia, or low blood sodium. Even mild cases can cause dizziness, nausea, and confusion. Severe cases can lead to fainting, seizures, or worse. Now, most people won't get to the extreme end. But that feeling of being lightheaded after gulping water, that's your body struggling to balance things out, and ironically, much of the water you just drank ends up passing straight through your system. You'll find yourself in the bathroom soon after, leaving you no more hydrated than before, sometimes even less. Think about it like this. Imagine your body is a sponge. If you dump a whole bucket of water onto that sponge at once, what happens? Most of it runs off the sides. The sponge only absorbs a little. But if you drip water onto it slowly, steadily, drop by drop, the sponge soaks up almost everything. That's exactly how your body works with hydration. I once heard a story of a man in his 70s who went for a short walk on a hot day. He didn't drink anything before he left, but when he got home, he downed 2 huge glasses in one go. Minutes later, he felt dizzy and had to lie down. His wife thought something was seriously wrong and nearly called an ambulance. In reality, it wasn't a heart attack. It was his body struggling to cope with the sudden flood of water. So what's the fix? Don't flood your system. Trickle it. Keep a smaller glass nearby and sip throughout the day. Think of it like topping up your fuel tank every so often instead of waiting until the fuel light flashes and then overfilling it. Your body handles steady refills far better than occasional floods. Another tip? Use smaller glasses instead of big bottles. Psychologically, it feels easier to sip from something small, and when you finish, you can refill without feeling like you're drowning yourself in one sitting. Hydration is not a race, it's a rhythm, and the steadier your rhythm, the better your body can actually use the water you drink. The second hydration mistake is one that seems harmless, even logical, waiting until you feel thirsty before you drink. For younger people, this works fine. The body's thirst alarm is strong and reliable. Lose just a little fluid, and the brain sends a clear signal. You feel a dry mouth, you crave a drink, and you respond quickly. Problem solved. But here's the catch. As we age, that signal weakens. It doesn't disappear completely, but it comes later, slower, and less reliably. By the time you actually feel thirsty at 65 or 70, your body may already be well into dehydration. Scientists have studied this. At Penn State University, researchers compared younger adults and older adults under the same conditions. The younger group drank promptly when their bodies needed it, but the older group often stayed dehydrated, not because their bodies didn't need water, but because their brains didn't send the thirst signal in time. In other words, their fuel gauge was broken. And this has real-world consequences, because dehydration in older adults doesn't always look like a dry throat. It often shows up in disguise: sudden fatigue, brain fog, confusion, dizziness, or even fainting. In hospitals, dehydration is sometimes mistaken for dementia or infection. A senior arrives weak, disoriented, maybe even delirious. Families panic, fearing the worst. But after intravenous fluids, the person suddenly seems sharper, steadier, themselves again, all from missing that simple cue to drink. Now think about daily life. Imagine a morning where you wake up, have breakfast, maybe take your medications, and head out for errands. You go to the grocery store, walk the aisles, lift a few heavy bags, drive home. You don't feel thirsty, so you don't think about drinking. But when you sit down at home, you feel exhausted, more tired than the effort should have caused. Your legs feel heavy. You feel lightheaded when you stand. That's dehydration, quietly creeping in long before your brain ever rang the thirst alarm. So what's the solution? Build your own rhythm. Don't wait for thirst. Make drinking part of your daily routine. One small glass when you wake up, another with every meal, one mid-morning, one mid-afternoon, and a light one in the evening. That's 6 simple touch points spread across the day. You don't need to measure ounces or obsess over numbers. Just keep the rhythm. If remembering is hard, create reminders. Some people keep glasses in visible places, one on the nightstand, one on the kitchen counter, one near the TV remote. Others set gentle alarms on their phone, or even use marked water bottles that show where they should be by certain times of day. Whatever method works, the goal is the same. Never let your tank run too low. Because here's the truth. Waiting for thirst is like waiting for your car's fuel light before refilling the tank. By then, you're already running on fumes. Instead, top up regularly and you'll never hit empty. Hydration after 65 isn't about reacting, it's about staying one step ahead. The third hydration mistake is one that catches a lot of people off guard, counting coffee or tea as your main source of fluids. Now, let me be clear, coffee and tea aren't the enemy. They both contain water, and yes, they contribute to your fluid intake. But here's the hidden issue, they also contain caffeine, and caffeine is what doctors call a mild diuretic. That means it nudges your kidneys to release more fluid. So while you're drinking, your body is also letting go of water more quickly. For younger people, this isn't usually a big deal. Their kidneys are efficient, their body water levels are higher, and they have a wider margin for error. But after 65, the balance is much trickier. The body's reserves are lower, the kidneys are slower, which means relying too heavily on caffeinated drinks can quietly tip you into dehydration without you even realizing it. I've seen this pattern so many times. Someone says, "Oh, I drink plenty of fluids. I have 6 cups of tea a day." But when you look closer, you realize that outside of tea, they hardly touch plain water. By mid-afternoon, they're sluggish, their head feels foggy, their mood dips. They think it's just part of aging, when really it's their hydration working against them. There's another problem too. Caffeine can mask tiredness. It tricks you into feeling alert even when your body is running low on fluids. So you feel like you've solved the problem until the caffeine wears off and suddenly you crash even harder. It's like painting over a crack in the wall instead of fixing the foundation. Now, does this mean you should give up your morning coffee or afternoon tea? Absolutely not. These rituals bring comfort and joy, and they do have health benefits, but the key is balance. A simple rule of thumb. For every cup of coffee or tea, drink 1 glass of water. One in, one out. That way, you enjoy the comfort without paying the hydration penalty. And here's a bonus. Herbal teas, especially caffeine-free ones like chamomile, peppermint, or rooibos, do count as hydration. They give you flavor, warmth, and variety without the diuretic effect. So here's the mindset shift. Coffee and tea are like guests at the hydration party. They're welcome, but they shouldn't be the hosts. Water is the one that keeps things running smoothly. Let your coffee or tea be part of your day, but let water be the foundation. The fourth hydration mistake is one that often goes unnoticed, ignoring the water that comes from food. Most people think of hydration as only what you drink, but the truth is around 20% of your daily water can come from what you eat. That means food is not just fuel, it's also hydration. Let's take some examples. Cucumbers are over 90% water. Watermelon, strawberries, and lettuce, same story. Even oranges, grapes, and celery are loaded with fluids. And soups, stews, and broths, they're hydration disguised as comfort food. But here's the challenge. As we age, many people's appetites change. Meals often get smaller, some skip fruit and vegetables, or rely more on processed foods, bread, or dry snacks. The result? A diet that fills the stomach but does very little for hydration. This is a missed opportunity because hydration foods don't just give you water. They also deliver electrolytes, vitamins, and fiber, things your body needs to stay strong and steady. For example, watermelon doesn't just quench thirst, it gives you potassium, which helps balance fluids and supports muscle function. Soup isn't just warm comfort, it restores sodium and water together, helping your body actually hold on to hydration. Now picture 2 different lunch plates. On one side, a plain sandwich with chips. On the other, a bowl of vegetable soup, a side salad, and a handful of grapes. Both meals give you calories, but only one gives you a hidden glass of water on top of it. And the best part, you don't even have to think about drinking. It happens naturally. So the fix is simple. Build hydration into your meals. Fruit with breakfast, soup or salad with lunch, fresh vegetables or broth-based dishes at dinner. Keep a bowl of grapes or oranges on the counter for easy snacking. Each choice adds to your water intake quietly without effort. Here's the mindset shift. Stop thinking of water as something separate from food. Start thinking of your plate as part of your hydration plan. Because when you combine sips of water with hydration foods, you give your body exactly what it needs. Steady, balanced fluids delivered in the most natural way possible. Before we move on to the smarter hydration plan, let's pause for a moment, because there are a few bonus mistakes that don't always get talked about, but they quietly affect hydration every single day. Bonus mistake 1. Drinking too much late at night. It usually happens like this. You realize in the evening that you didn't drink enough water during the day, so you try to make up for it all at once before bed. On the surface, it seems like a smart idea. But here's the problem. Drinking large amounts late at night almost guarantees multiple bathroom trips. That interrupts your sleep, and poor sleep has its own health costs, weakening memory, balance, and even your immune system. On top of that, every extra trip to the bathroom in the dark increases the risk of falls. And falls, as we know, can change a life in seconds. The fix? Front-load your hydration earlier in the day. Take lighter sips in the evening. That way you stay comfortable and hydrated without sacrificing your rest. Bonus mistake 2. Ignoring electrolytes. We often think water alone is enough. But hydration isn't just about water, it's about water and electrolytes. Electrolytes are minerals like sodium, potassium, and magnesium. They help your nerves fire, your muscles move, and your cells hold on to fluid. If you sweat in the summer, take certain medications, or recover from an illness, you can lose electrolytes along with water, and drinking only plain water in those moments can actually make you feel worse. The solution doesn't have to be fancy sports drinks. A simple squeeze of lemon and a pinch of salt in a glass of water works. A broth-based soup works. Even fruits like bananas or oranges bring back the balance your body needs. Bonus mistake. 3. Relying on flavored bottled drinks. This one is tricky because the packaging often makes these drinks look healthy. But many flavored waters and so-called hydration beverages are loaded with sugar, artificial sweeteners, or hidden sodium. They might quench thirst temporarily, but they don't hydrate cleanly. For someone managing blood pressure or blood sugar, these drinks can quietly work against your health. The better choice? Flavor your own water naturally. Drop in orange slices, cucumber, or fresh berries. You get taste, variety, and hydration, without the downsides. These mistakes might seem small on their own. A late-night drink here, a skipped electrolyte there, a flavored bottle on a hot day. But over time, they add up. They shape how your body feels, how steady you are, and how much energy you carry into each day. Fixing them isn't complicated, it just means being intentional and giving your body the balance it truly needs. So now that we've looked at the mistakes, it's time for the part that matters most, the smarter way to hydrate after 65. The key is this: it's not about drinking more, it's about drinking better. It's about creating a rhythm that supports your body instead of stressing it. Think of it less like an emergency fix and more like background music. It runs all day long, quietly, smoothly, keeping everything in balance. Here are the 5 golden principles of smarter hydration. Principle 1. Sip steadily, don't chug. Your body absorbs water best in small, steady amounts. It's the drip method, not the flood. Keep a small glass or bottle nearby and take regular sips. Over the course of a day, those sips add up to exactly what your body needs, without overwhelming your kidneys, without diluting your electrolytes. Principle 2. Don't wait for thirst. Remember, the thirst alarm is weaker now. By the time you feel it, you may already be low on fluids. So don't rely on thirst. Rely on routine. Make water part of your schedule, just like meals or medications. 1 glass in the morning, 1 with each meal, 1 mid-morning, 1 mid-afternoon, and a light one in the evening. That's 6 to 7 touch points, spread evenly, keeping you topped up all day. Principle 3. Balance with electrolytes. Your body needs minerals along with water. If you're sweating in summer, taking diuretics, or recovering from illness, don't just add water, add balance. A squeeze of lemon, a pinch of salt, or a bowl of broth helps your body hold on to fluids. Foods rich in potassium, like bananas or oranges, also restore balance naturally. Principle 4. Eat your water. Hydration isn't only in your glass, it's on your plate. Add cucumbers, melons, oranges, or soups to your meals. These foods hydrate slowly, keep you fuller, and deliver vitamins and fiber too. When you combine food hydration with steady sipping, you take the pressure off yourself to constantly remember to drink. Principle 5. Adjust for your life. Hydration needs aren't static. They change with the seasons, with your activity, with your health. On hot days, you'll need more. On days with salty meals or medications that flush water, you may need careful balance. When you're sick with a fever or flu, fluids matter even more. The smarter strategy is not one size fits all. It's paying attention, listening to your body, and adjusting as you go. Now let's put it together into a simple daily plan you can actually follow. 1 glass when you wake up. Think of it as starting the engine. 1 with breakfast, a few sips mid-morning, 1 with lunch. A glass with a piece of fruit mid-afternoon, 1 with dinner, and a light sip in the evening before bed. That's 7 hydration touch points spread across your day. It's not overwhelming, it doesn't feel like a chore, and it supports your body exactly the way it needs. Think of hydration as a rhythm, not a challenge, not a burden. Once it becomes a gentle background habit, you stop worrying about it, and you start feeling the benefits: clearer thinking, steadier steps, and stronger energy that carries you through the day. It's one thing to talk about hydration in theory, but what happens when older adults actually change the way they hydrate? Let's look at a few real examples. In the UK, a care home ran a simple program. They didn't add supplements and they didn't change diets dramatically. All they did was make water easier to access and remind residents to sip regularly throughout the day. That was it. Just easier access, steady sipping, and the results were remarkable. Dehydration-related hospital visits went down. Residents reported fewer dizzy spells, steadier blood pressure, and even sharper alertness. A small change, big results. And it's not just in care homes. In 2023, researchers at the National Institutes of Health studied thousands of adults over years of follow-up. They tracked hydration markers like sodium levels in the blood. What they found was powerful. People who maintained healthier fluid balance aged more slowly. They had lower risks of heart disease, lung problems, kidney issues, and even dementia. In other words, good hydration wasn't just about feeling better today. It was linked to living healthier, longer lives. Doctors also see this every day. An older adult comes into the emergency room confused, weak, maybe even hallucinating. Families fear the worst. They think it's dementia, a stroke, or a serious infection. But often, after running tests, the doctor realizes the real issue: simple dehydration. A bag of IV fluids later, the person is sitting up, talking clearly, and back to themselves. Imagine that. Something as basic as fluids can look like a major health crisis until it's fixed. All of this points to one truth. Hydration is not just a nice to have. It's one of the simplest, most powerful tools for better health after 65. And the difference between chugging water in big gulps versus sipping steadily throughout the day? It's the difference between dizziness and steadiness, between fog and clarity, between weakness and strength. So when you think about hydration, don't just think about glasses of water. Think about outcomes. Fewer falls, fewer hospital visits, sharper thinking, healthier years. The science backs it, the stories prove it, and your body will thank you for it. At the very beginning of this video, I asked a question. What if the way you drink water after 65 is actually making you weaker? Now you know the answer. Because hydration after 65 is not the same as hydration at 25. The body changes, the kidneys slow down, the thirst signal weakens, and the mistakes, chugging water, waiting until you're thirsty, relying on coffee or tea, skipping hydration foods, they all add up. They don't just leave you a little dry. They can make you dizzy, foggy, even land you in the hospital. But here's the good news. These mistakes are easy to fix. You don't need expensive supplements. You don't need complicated formulas. You don't even need to carry around a giant water jug. All you need are a few small shifts. Sip steadily instead of chugging. Drink on a schedule instead of waiting for thirst. Balance water with electrolytes. Add hydrating foods to your meals. Adjust for your lifestyle and health. When you do this, hydration goes from being a worry to being a strength. Suddenly, you're not just avoiding dehydration, you're building steadiness into your steps, clarity into your thinking, and energy into your days. You're giving your body one of the simplest, most powerful supports it can have. Think about it. Something as basic as water, something we often take for granted, can change how you feel every single day. It can be the difference between dragging through the afternoon or walking with energy, between confusion and clarity, between a dangerous fall and steady balance. So the next time you reach for a glass of water, don't think about it as just a drink. Think of it as one of the easiest health habits you can master. And remember this, it's not about how much water you drink. It's about how you drink it, one steady sip at a time. Here's to drinking smarter, and here's to living stronger. So, now you know the biggest hydration mistakes after 65 and the smarter strategies that can keep you steady, sharp, and energized. But here's something important. Hydration isn't the only daily habit that affects your energy and balance. In fact, many of the morning routines that people follow, without even thinking, can secretly drain you before the day even begins. Little things like what you drink first thing in the morning, how you take your medications, even whether you eat or skip breakfast, they can either support your hydration or sabotage it. And the truth is, most people are making at least one of these morning mistakes every single day. Mistakes that leave them dragging by noon, even if they've had water. That's why I want you to keep going. On your screen right now, you'll see a video about the morning habits that secretly dehydrate you. Watch that one next, because it pairs perfectly with what you've just learned. If hydration is the foundation, then your morning routine is the frame you build on top of it. Together, they decide how steady, how clear, and how strong you'll feel all day. So don't stop here. Click the video